Darth Bane, Path of Destruction, is part of a trilogy of books talking about the life of Darth Bane, the establishment of the Rule of Two, and the subsequent destruction of the original Sith era, wherein there were multiple Sith Lords, and now there would be only two. This takes place 1,000 years before the events of New Hope, specifically 1003 BBY, which details the life of Darth Bane, originally known as Dessel and nicknamed Dez. Okay. This book, I listened to the audiobook, I re-looked into the book again, voiced by Jonathan Davis, and there was a lot of things that surprised me since it's been a while since I last time looked at this, but yeah, like I haven't read this in years. I was younger at that time, so I don't really recall much since books almost always also used to make me tired. That's what happens when I read. um, we learn all about Darth Bane, also known as Dessel. He grew up on Apartos, born with his birth name Dessel. Dessel works in the mines with his abusive, alcoholic father, Hurst. And after a confrontation in the mines, we learn that Dessel, also known as Darth Bane, unknowingly killed his father using his force abilities to induce a heart attack. Yeah. And we also learn where Bane got his Sith name from, Darth Bane. And it turns out that he got his name because his father called him a Bane as a way to call him a bane of his existence since his mother died at childbirth. Okay, that's dark. Because it'd be like saying oh, and I kind of catchphrase the things, it's clobbering time, is from an abusive household. Oh wait, that was Fantastic Four, also known as Fan Four Stick. Never mind. Yeah. And we learn what eventually would lead to his road down to the path of the Sith. And normally I've seen from both the Legends and the Disney canon that we usually hear, oh, it's a tragic past. Oh, it's because, he went through this and he lost somebody important to him. No, it's because he lost his father, he lost his mother, he lost his lover, he or she lost their lover and whatnot. It's because of those reasons nowadays. Nope, it wasn't because of that. While he did have snippet moments of hate towards his father, and he didn't know he had these abilities, but what led him down to becoming a Sith was strictly because he killed a Republican son in self-defense over a sabacc game. Yeah. The whole events that lead to A New Hope, the destruction of the Jedi, the destruction of the Old Republic, the mass killings, the rise of Sidious and Palpatine and Darth Vader, and the succumsion of Anakin Skywalker's fall was all because over a sabacc game that some guy got butthurt about. Now that I think about it, this novel may be ahead of its time with political correctness. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, I was surprised by that. I was like, no way, that can't be it. Come on, what's the real story? You're kidding me, right? Like, wow, something so simple led to all this. Huh. Yeah, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, something so simple over being jealous over the fact that you lost to Dessel in a sabacc game and lost everything in terms of the credits you could have earned, that trumps you and your buddies to try and kill him. He attacks in self-defense and accidentally kills somebody in the process. The innocent who instigated all this would lead to what happens to the next 1,000 years. Yeah. So, yeah, we also see Dessel during his time in the Sith army, where he eventually starts to become more in tune with the Force powers that he holds. And after his escape. Um, like during the assault on Kashyyyk, we learn about his subsequent battle. He joins a unit called the Gloomwalkers, and he distinguished himself in the assault on Kashyyyk and the subsequent battle of Heshkar. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong. And on the neighboring planet, planet of Trendoshia, and Dessel actually commits mutiny against his commanding officer to prevent the unit from deploying on a suicide mission. Dessel then leads the unit to victory over the Republic forces opposing them. Despite the success, he is rewarded with being arrested. Taken before Sith Lord Capes, Dessel expects to be executed for insubordination. Instead, Capes, I'm trying to pronounce these Star Wars names, senses Dessel's force potential and enrolls him in the Sith Academy on Korriban. And he adopts the name Bane. And yeah, he's not really portrayed as a prodigy, like he's a sponge and just like he's a sponge, but he's not a prodigy. Like, it just clicks like that. No, instead we learn about his progression, his eventual building of the Force, his initial downfall he was having, and then rising back up. Like, yeah, and there's even somewhat of a romance with Githany, a Jedi traitor, after she sold the Jedi out on the Rusan. And she saw Bane as someone she could use to remove Sirak, who basically demoralized Bane. And she begins to secretly tutor him in the ways of the Force and reclaiming his powers. And Bane approaches Kasim for secret instruction in lightsaber combat. Neither of Bane's illicit teachers is aware of the other, and Bane hopes to keep this secret for as long as possible. And after Bane regains much of his lost power and confidence, during a duel, he almost kills Sirak, and then Sirak and his buddies tried to kill him after Githany convinced him to do something stupid. And Bane decapitates him. Brutally. It was then Bane decides when the 1,000-year war between the Jedi, the Sith, the Republic, and the Empire were raging on, Bane had slowly become disillusioned with the Brotherhood of Darkness, which was a collective unit of Sith Lords banded together to ideally make an equal force. Basically, everyone's treated equally. Everyone is not above the other, which in idea, it sounds interesting, but in practice, it was a complete disaster for them, as Lord Khan was basically the guy in charge. Yeah, he could have just called himself Darth Khan, but then that would have led to mutinies. So, yeah, and Bane becomes disillusioned with the whole Brotherhood of Darkness and believes that the true potential of the dark side needs to be with basically what leads to the rule of two. And after his training progresses, he starts to believe that, like I said, the Brotherhood of Darkness and the Sith as a whole have turned their backs on the ancient ways. Because Revan is talked about a lot in the story, in part one especially. Because Revan is the guy that basically inspired Bane to create the rule of two. So you could say Revan was one of his heroes. Or villains or mentors. Yeah. And I loved how the Sith didn't have high-tech equipment when it came to their knowledge. They had to rely on old-fashioned stuff. Kind of shows the difference between the Sith, since they're still kind of trapped in this infighting issue, and yet whereas the Jedi are unified and therefore they become more advanced and more corrupted. And Bane is the guy who sees the corruption on the Jedi. Githany sees destruction of the Jedi happening on both sides. Like, I thought that was interesting. And we also return back to the unknown world from Kotar, where it's now called Leon, remembered in the history as the Unknown World, in the home of the now extinct Rakata. And Bane believes the Rakata were the first Darkseid users present in the galaxy during his pursuit of the archives in there. And when he arrives to the Temple of the Ancients, Bane finds Darth Revan's holocron. And this led to me thinking about several things. Like, okay, this is the same writer who wrote Revan, Drew Capet. Carpenston. I'm pretty sure I pronounced his last name wrong. Sorry. Um, so he knows that So he's the author that wrote the story of Bane trilogy and Revan. So wouldn't it make sense to write an angle where Revan goes to find the holocron he created? Because it'd be more intact than it would be thousands of years later. But I don't recall him ever doing that. Instead, he just rushes off to the suicide mission. Like, I'm not sure the holocron would help Revan to unlock more memories, because during his time as the Dark Lord of the Sith as Darth Revan, that would certainly help him. Since, he kept both of his sides, the light and darkness, and not be retrained fully as a Jedi, which the Council did not like at all. Didn't help much that his marriage to Bastila didn't help either. So, Bane creates the rule of two from this holocron, which is repeated numerous times. Two there should be, no more, no less. One to embody the power, the other to crave it. And Bane, when he's poisoned by Githany later on, after he survived an assassination attempt, Bane is now plotting to destroy the Brotherhood of Darkness with the ultimate technique, the dangerous weapon of mass destruction of the time, the thought bomb. Now, I told one of my friends about this name of the weapon, and he laughed at the fact that name just sounds so incredibly stupid. But when you look at the weapon, yeah, he immediately took back everything he said. So, yeah, Bane and Githany make out pretty much 3 times. Eventually, however, he begins to feel the effects of poison on his body and realizes that she used 2 poisons against him synergistically, one to disguise the presence of the other. Bane then tracks down a local healer named Caleb, a reference to a hint that Caleb Doom was named after this guy, since he was created years after the Legends saga ended. But anyways, this local hero cared not for the Jedi or the Sith, and Bane threatens to kill his daughter. Yeah. Bane decides to spare their lives, figuring he might still need use of them, and that killing without reason or gain was one of the petty pleasures that was ruining the Sith Order. Yeah, he's much smarter than everyone else. And yeah, it was a pretty interesting thing, especially how we get a scene beforehand that he killed a family with his lightsaber when he was near death, and he used that despair and anger from the family, from the father that had to witness his children get killed and then him get killed later on. Yeah, that was dark. In fact, this whole story's dark, and I'm pretty sure the last 2 are also dark, on the grounds that, well, yeah, it's about a Sith, and the Sith are known to be dark, brooding people, pretty much. So, heading to the Sith camp on Ruusan, Bane, now calling himself Darth Bane after he had disowned the Brotherhood of Darkness, finds a Jedi fleet in the system and Siths blocking their reinforcements to the Jedi below. On landing, Bane joins a meeting of the Sith Lords, during which Khan describes his battle plan to the Brotherhood. The Sith Lords, especially Githany, are surprised to see Bane still alive. Bane uses the opportunity to lecture Khan for thinking like a dirty general, not a Sith Lord. Bane convinces the assembled Sith Lords they'll create a massive force storm. We all know how that happened, with another Darth Revan's rituals to destroy the Force where the Jedi forces are located. Khan, however, interrupts the ritual prematurely to engage the surviving Jedi hand-to-hand, and Githany tells Bane after he tries to stop her that she took pleasure in it. Returning to the empty Sith camp, Bane meets Quados, I'm pretty sure I got that wrong, who recognizes Bane's power and asks to join Bane. Bane kills him with a Force choke, while telling that he intends to not take over the Brotherhood, but to end it forever. And during all this, Bane enacts his next phase of the plan to destroy the Brotherhood by contacting the Sith Fleet Admiral in order to break off the blockade. This move allows the Jedi to get through the blockade, gain the upper hand in the battle. Lord Khan, who has slowly drifted into the form of insanity during his time on Rusan, now believes the Thought Bomb to be the only chance for victory. The Sith lure the Jedi deep into a network of caves where they prepare the Thought Bomb. Lord Kopaz, however, sees Khan's madness and abandons the Brotherhood, only to be killed by Master Farla, sorry, killed by Jedi Master. Khan then detonates the thought bomb after Lord Hoth tried to stop him in a futile attempt, and all the Jedi and Sith in the caves. And yeah, it was gruesome. Like, their souls are trapped in this thought bomb, and they wouldn't be rescued till till 1,000 or so, thousands of hundreds of years later. About 1,000 and maybe 45 years. I could be wrong. Like, it's during Kyle Katarn's visit to the Valley of the Jedi, so over 1,000 years later. But yeah, let's go with that. Now, the last Sith on Rusan, Bane also realizes he needs to find an apprentice. And yeah, we learn. Yeah, that was also a subplot. We got to see. There were several subplots. Githany's little attempt to gain more power and influence. Lord Hoth's campaign on Rusan. And then Bane's also attempt to find an apprentice. Like, he tried to find Githany as one. He tried to get Lord Chasm as one. And some guy, and then Lord Kopez. Not Kopez. Kyodos asked to join, offered to join, but then, like I said, Bane killed him. And Githany also dies in this thought bomb when she was nearing escape. So Lord Hoth's dead, Githany's dead, the Brotherhood all gone. And now there's one more scene we have. On Rusan, Bane finds a Force-sensitive girl named Rain, as she's nicknamed. And Rain, her path to the dark side is also pretty simple. She and her brother, I believe, I'm trying to remember if it was her brother or friend, they were lost, and one of the Republic soldiers accidentally thought the kid was a thief or a Sith, or something, and shot him, and Rain got pissed off and killed him in the process, along with 2 other troopers, and saw her potential strength, and Bane considers making Rain, who would be later known as Darzana, the first apprentice in his newly crowned Order of the Sith Lords. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's how Darth Bane Path of Destruction pretty much goes down like. And my God, this was honestly an awesome book. I listened to the audiobook voiced by Jonathan Davis, which you can check out on audible.com on my link in the description if you want to check it out for a 30-day free trial and get the book for free. But like I said, this book was honestly pretty great. It was showing how all this happened, all the events that happened in Legends canon from 1000 to 1003 BBY all the way up to the end of the Galactic Civil War. All the way up to the prequel trilogy, and then also later on up to the Galactic Civil War. In fact, virtually you can say everything was all happening because of a mistake. All because Destel killed a guy in self-defense who tried to kill him over a Pazak game. Say if that didn't happen, things would be very different. Like, there would be no Rule of Two, there'd be no Sith Empire anymore, since they would have most likely lost the war, since Lord Khan was slowly going insane beforehand. Let's see, also, Anakin probably would never be born because Darth Plagueis is the reason why Anakin was born, because he tried to create his own chosen one, and the Force retaliated to this. So the Sith would have been extinct, Anakin would never have been born, Luke would never have been born, Leia would never have been born, the Solo siblings would never have been born. Yeah, a lot of galactic history would be very different had this small little incident and misunderstanding never happened. Yeah, all this happened, like I'm saying, happened over a Sabak game. But Sabak game, yeah. All this happened over a Sabak game. Yeah. Ensign for an ensign from the Republic gets pissed off over a Sabak game and inadvertently creates some of the biggest disasters in galactic history. Yep, it's that simple. There's no tragic incident that caused all his path to the Sith. It was a simple misunderstanding, a game of sabacc, and stupidity because they can't stand losing. Yeah. So those were my thoughts on Darth Bane, Path of Destruction. If you want to check out the book, like I said, I have an audible.com link at Near Reality and ENT in the description where you can get a 30-day free trial and the book for free, or any book for free, honestly, or any Star Wars book, like I said, for free. Be sure to check that out. This was Near Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.